Here, we're going to be honest and honest alone, right? You see, being black, it's good, but being black American is even better. Do you know why I say so? And I'll keep saying that because of, all they've been through and seeing how people are beginning to look at them, right? Especially other people that are melanated like them. They keep trying to pull them down, trying to look down on them. At the same time, knowing fully well that inside them, these people are more superior. Now, how do you explain the fact that you say, oh, I don't love these people, I don't like them, but you left your country to be in their own country? Come on, these people are not Africans. They might have the same skin color with you, but they are not Africans. And then you come and you say you don't like them, you don't do this. You're a liar. Why did you leave your country? Why did you leave your own country you love so much to their own country? Just watch these videos of so many black Americans, saying many things. See, I'll keep saying it. You see, black Americans, guard your position with your heart. Don't worry, I'm going to say something about this after these videos.
American exceptionalism is a term we've heard a lot recently within the last month with several discourses that are happening online. There inherently is a power to being an American. And when we're having all of these diasporic conversations, being American and holding an American passport and American citizenship is a thing. We hear the consistent talking points of you think you're better than us or you think you're the center of the world. That is also the product of the American empire controlling media essentially for the last century. We often ask, why do people sit online and critique America or have share their viewpoints on America or talk about America? It is because of that world dominance and the dominance that America has maintained throughout the world over the last century. We're the only country that has bases in every country in the world, essentially. No other country inserts and forces their dominance in a very physical and a very cultural way like America does. But I think one thing that's lost within these conversations is particularly within the African diaspora is that many people conflate being Black American to being white American, and that they don't understand the colonization of Black Americans within the empire, that we are the colonized people in that empire. So we inherently don't have the same access to wealth, the same access to power, the same access to upper mobility as our white counterparts in the country that we're from, which is the country that shows dominance around the world. This leads to a massive disconnect between both Black Americans and the diaspora because that inferred power that we essentially have as Black Americans is not inherently understood because within our own country, we are the oppressed group that has been oppressed since our reality here. And the fact that the majority of Americans don't really leave America, which means the majority of Black Americans don't leave America, never truly in real time will understand how we fit into that American hegemony and how that implicit power that we hold as Americans is understood throughout the diaspora because we exist in this country as an oppressed group. And conversely, those members of the African diaspora that grow up consuming American media and think they know about what it means to be Black in America truly never will understand that aspect because they approach Blackness from their own reality, not understanding the reality of what it means to be American in America. This is something I've been thinking about a lot over the past year because these diaspora wars they happen often, and it's always people speaking at each other and not speaking to each other, and it's always from a place of ignorance and misunderstanding from both groups. And I'm not absconding Americans from their part in being ignorant, but there's a tendency to infantilize Americans from several groups throughout the world, particularly Europeans and Africans within the diaspora. They infantilize the concept of Americans understanding culture, understanding other groups, and understanding where we sit in the world. And that's done, I think, because America has shown dominance and has dominated the world for so long that the tropes about us are all they have to say to kind of like give them a semblance of superiority in a sense, especially when it comes to British people. Their entire culture is this air of arrogance and superiority over Americans. And I think that's due to them losing America in the war years ago. But there's so much to be learned from each other. But I think inherently Black Americans don't really understand the power that comes with being American and how that passport and that identity really impacts you as you travel throughout the world and how people inherently view and understand our reality as humans. And for those outside of it, you don't know. I mean, I can give you an example within my own family. One of my cousins, she's the youngest of, I think, 5. She was the only person born in Haiti, and she has a Haitian passport. Her reality of how she moves around the world and how she lives within America and exists within America is different from every other sibling she has or every other person that she knows in her family because she was born in Haiti and no one else was. So she's inherently not American, but she is American because she grew up in America. So there's a whole dichotomy there of people who have an American identity but are not American, and those who never been to America or exist outside of the empire and view from the outside looking in what they believe an American is and the power that Americans hold. It's an interesting conversation. I think that's the one that should be had in this whole diaspora talk. It should be the inferred power or the inferred existence of Americans and how that dominance impacts those of us throughout the world who are consuming Americans, and then the ignorance that Americans hold about that power because Americans are oppressed in America and we don't hold that power in America because we're still the colonized group in America.
Republicans hate black people.
Why do liberals do this? I'm Republican, right? But I don't sit around wondering if other Republicans don't like me because I'm black. I don't spend time worrying about what another man thinks of me. That's un-Republican. That's a Democrat thing. The professional liberals sit around and worry, do they like me because I'm black? Does me being black somehow enlighten the world? And do they like me? I've never thought that at all. I don't give a fuck. If you don't like me for one reason or another, I don't give a fuck. I'm not losing sleep. But my values align with the Republican Party and, yeah, Donald Trump. I want to see America great again. Y'all don't want America great. You want other countries to come in and take what we have and change America. That's the difference between me and you, boy. Just get at them.
MAGA hates black people, right? So if you're watching this and you're a black person, MAGA hates you.
It's just a weird thing that liberals do where they try to victimize themselves. We're not victims. Let's get at them.
Peace to the gods, feminine and masculine. So, for the life of me, I cannot get how y'all gonna say if you're mixed with another species of human, that's not Negroid, that child is Negroid. That's not possible, you understand? It doesn't matter if it's the mother or the father. How, like some of y'all say, oh, you get most of your genetic makeup from your mother. Okay, that's most. Let's say 60-40 or 70-30. You still have that other mixture. You get what I'm saying? Like, you still have that other parents mixture that's Neanderthal a part of that child, even if it's 70-30. And to those that believe that, oh, you are what your father is, it's the same thing. You understand? Because you're mixed with black, that doesn't totally erase the other parent's genetic code. We see that with the children. You understand? If it did erase that other parent's genetic code, then we would see it within the child. But when we look at children that are mixed, it don't matter be with the Caucasian, the Asian, the Arab, whatever. You feel me? And they have one black parent. You can see in the child that mixture, right? You can't tell me you go outside of a non-ether being, carbonated being, melanated being, a black, so-called black person to reproduce with Neanderthals mixed with animal DNA people, and then you're going to call that child, right? You're going to call that child full black. How is that possible? It's still a mixture. Just like if you have, seen somebody use that before, like just like if you have coffee, right? And you put the milk in the coffee, even though you don't see the milk when you mixed it, the milk is still there. It's not the same as a coffee that doesn't have milk. Right? The molecule structures change. That's all I'm saying. Like, y'all out here creating hybrids. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with what you're doing. That's your life. That's what you want to do. You understand? You want to create entities that archons can possess. You understand? That's fine. That's your life. You understand? That's what you will have to deal with. But don't come here and tell us that, oh, these entities, these hybrid entities that you created is the same as when two black people create a melanated child. It's not the same. And deep down in your soul, you know it's not the same. That's a hybrid child. Just like when you have a liger, a mixture between a tiger and a lion, right? The mixture between a tiger and a lion is the liger, but it's not a lion. Like, if you put it in a pack with a lion, the lions are not going to recognize it. If you put it in a pack with the tigers are not going to recognize it, because it's a whole different species now. And it's the same thing when it comes to these hybrid children. It's a whole new different species, right? And it's not hard to understand, right? And a lot of y'all don't like, y'all calling these hybrid children black, because y'all don't like you don't like the aesthetics that comes with the natural black person, right? So when these children are born with the curly hair, with the you get what I'm saying, with the super lighter skin, right? You feel more proud. You understand? It's like, oh shit, exotic. Yeah, an exotic animal. You understand? And it's no hate or anything towards the hybrid children, but you have to stop lying to them. Just because the melanated, carbonated genetics is stronger, right? And you get most of it, that doesn't erase the other half of you. You get me? It nowhere eliminates the other half of you. So that's what people need to understand. Like, love who you are. Understand who you are scientifically, right? So you don't be out here confused. Especially when it comes to the hybrid children, the mixed children. Your parents are confused, thinking you're just a regular black person. And even if you're mixed with, like, whatever you're mixed with, you're not that either. You're not the Caucasian and you're not the Asian anymore. Like, you're both. You're a mixture. You're a hybrid. Like, understand that. Peace to the gods.
A couple of days ago, I let a white woman know, she was uninformed, that currently in the state of Texas, 5 black votes are the equivalent to 1 white vote in regard to the new gerrymandering maps that were put into place in the state of Texas. And the reason why I bring this up is because a lot of white people are now coming into class consciousness, whether they're white blue leaning or white red leaning, that they get to make a selection when it comes to how they combat against racism or how they actively choose to support it. White people don't have a collective history of being at an economic and sociological disadvantage. That's not real in the white community. So until white people actively recognize that they are at a true loss, I don't think that any forms of activism that are coming from white people fighting against or fighting with are actually going to help end racism or allow racism to become much stronger. It will really just become a lot more mediocre. And the reason why I believe that white people have reached a form of class consciousness, sort of like complacency, is because they recognize that if they fight to the magnitude that black and brown people during 200 to 300 years ago were fighting, or maybe even 100 years ago when they were trying to end segregation and Jim Crow laws, that they would suffer the same disadvantages, the same deaths, and the same economic disadvantages that black people suffered. They would have to have babies cut out of their white moms' stomachs. They would have to be sprayed with water hoses. They would have to have their communities, their suburbs burned down. Like, they would have to have people from different communities come in and burn their suburbs literally down to the ground. They would have to be pulled over at a stoplight and shot for literally attempting to pull out their license and their registration. They would literally, and that's the thing, white people recognize that they cannot fight to the same magnitude that black and brown people fought towards, solely because they don't have a history at being at a disadvantage that emotionally jolts them to push towards that level of like activism. It's such an increased rate of activism that potentially may be incomprehensible to a lot of white people who want to push towards change, are capable of even understanding, because they've lived in a level of privilege, voluntarily and involuntarily, that has created this educational barrier that they have to overcome before they can recognize how much they can contribute to the dismantling or to the growth of racism. This is for both parties, whether you're red and blue. Like, white people contribute and don't contribute to the growth and the decline of racism every day by being an activist and by not being an activist. But until white people die, until their communities are met with plagues, until they're at economic disadvantages, they're not going to see change in their communities. Because you can see black, brown, even Latino communities continue to thrive because they have a culture of being at an economic disadvantage where they have to learn different ways to make it. Whereas a community that is in literally just engulfed with privilege, like it's just so incredibly contained, they're not going to have the same level of understanding because there isn't much disadvantage. And if it is disadvantage, it's done by other white people, never by any other individuals of different races that have the economic power to put the entirety of another race at literally an economic disadvantage. So, what we have to see from the collective of white people for racism, whether it grows or declines, to completely just be eradicated, is they have to fight even harder than the black slaves and the black leaders, the black activists who fought during the time where racism and the constructs of racism and chattel slavery fizzling out were so incredibly just large and present and prevalent, for them to see that kind of change happen. And that means stepping off of the pedestal of equality and actively like taking away the privileges that a white person has and literally sharing it with the world. And that means recognizing that they will then fully become a minority, that they no longer are allowed to live within that privilege, and that they give up the livelihoods of complacency that they get to have when it comes to showing real activism towards other communities. And I don't believe that there are enough white people currently in this world who have come to class consciousness and recognize the role that they play in white supremacy, who are willing to kill and harm and fight and boycott as much as black and brown people were doing back then. I don't think that that is a possibility, because there's just no history of that level of activism from white people when it comes to the progression of other people who are not them. And that's the sad reality of how racism has detrimentally affected the overall economic development of the United States. Point blank period. I stand on that firmly. I openly think that that is the case. But it may be hard for a lot of white people to accept, because now at this point, if you've come to that understanding, you recognize it every day that you don't kill people, or that you don't fight for activism, or that you don't burn something down, or that you don't get incredibly angry and just enraged with real, genuine anger about the atrocities that are happening to people who do not look like you. You are contributing to a system of oppression, whether you like it or not. Your white guilt has developed. One take.
America's elite figured out early on that the easiest way to protect their wealth wasn't with guns. It was by turning poor whites and poor blacks, enslaved blacks, against each other. Back in the 1600s, after Bacon's Rebellion, rich landowners saw poor whites and poor blacks fighting side by side. That scared the hell out of them. Unity meant that the ruling class could lose their land, their money, their everything. So what did they do? They invented laws to separate poor people by skin color. They handed poor whites just enough status to feel superior, while keeping them poor as dirt. That was something that W.E.B. Du Bois called the psychological wage of whiteness. Its manipulation so old, it's practically America's favorite pastime. The truth is, white supremacy has always been a tool of the elite. It's not about poor whites gaining power. It's never about that. It's about making sure they never join forces with poor blacks to demand real change. If you'd like to support my work, you can donate to ko-fi.com/Kelly Snyder. And remember, you don't have to be an expert to be an avid learner. Get curious.
Yeah, so welcome back. So that's a whole lot of videos. Shout out to those creators, right? Who always say their minds the way it should be, right? As you all know, this is Global District BJ. I will always say it as it is. See, I'm African, right? But I will tell you the truth. If I can, I want to be Black American as well. I won't lie. If you ask me, would you like to be Black American? Now, I will. And so that's why I will never water down all their efforts. I will never water down the opportunity of being a Black American. I won't. Now, a lot of people have a way of saying it. Oh, these people, they're so lazy. They're this, they're that, they're that, they're that. You that is not lazy, why didn't you stay in your own country and work? Why didn't you put in the effort to make your own country a great one? It should also be a question that people should be asking you. The thing is, let me tell you, black Americans, most people you see, especially the ones who are from Africa here, they want to be you. They pretend they don't want to be you, but the thing is, they want to be you. They don't just like putting it out there because of their ego and all of that, but they want to be you. How many of them can go through what you have gone through? Imagine you that have gone through all you went through and you still stayed in that country, not looking for a better country. You know, you kept fighting every day for that same country. And look at where God is bringing you all. And now a lot of people are now calling you blessed. And then some people are trying to bring you down. You should know that this is an agenda that wouldn't even work. This is an agenda that wouldn't see the light of the day. That is the truth. The reason why every time they're always in your business is because they want to be you, period. And remain unapologetically you, yourself. You matter. People are beginning to see that you are the future. You are the future. So that's it. That's what I want to tell you. Right? I hope you've subscribed if you like this video. And I'd like to see your thoughts in the comments to these videos. If you disagree with any of those clips you watched, let me see it in the comment section as well. I am your friend Blessing from Global Just with BJ. I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.